Good morning and welcome to Small Business Matters, where we discuss all things small business, especially the entrepreneurs that make these businesses grow and go. Are you properly insured? Do you know if you are or if you're not? Well, today we're going to talk all about that. And my guest today is Gisela Castro, the president of Complete Insurance Agency. Gisela, how are you?
Great. Thank you for having me.
No, my pleasure. I wanted to talk first about your entrepreneurial journey before we talk about the insurance business, your business specifically. How did you get into insurance and how did you get to complete it? I can already tell it's a funny story, right? Oh, it's not? Okay.
No, yeah. Well, actually, I started in high school. There was a program for insurance, and I was curious because my uncle had been in the insurance business for years, and I saw he was so successful. He was making great money, and I said, "Oh, why not? Let me sign up." So that's how I started in high school in a class, and we learned about insurance terms, and things like that. So that's how I got into the insurance business, and then insurance agencies would come into high school and ask for interns, to work with them, and that's how I got my first job in a large insurance agency that no longer exists. But that's how I got my first job. And after high school, I went to college and I got my degree eventually in education, which helped me in the insurance business. So from that large agency, I jumped around to a couple of other large agencies, and I was underwriting insurance. And and the rest is history. I finished my degree in education, and I said, "Whew, I'm making too much money. I mean, a lot of money in insurance. I'm not going to be a teacher, because back then, well, even now, teachers are making a lot of money. So that's why I stuck around, and it's been great for me, honestly.
Interesting. Where did you go to high school?
Miami High.
Oh, you're a stingaree.
Yay. I am.
That's pretty forward thinking because, in high school, I really didn't learn anything practical. So learning
really
the insurance business, that's really cool.
Yeah, they had a program, and in fact, they still have it in a lot of high schools around town. It's called Project Invest, and it's for high school students. And again, you learn a lot of terminology and the ins and outs of the insurance business. And actually, we have we as insurance professional go in there and teach small segments like on coverages and things like that. So it's a really good program. It really is.
Besides the money, which you said was kind of one of the initial attractions, what else did you like about the insurance business?
Well, like I said, the education part, my background really helped because yes, it's great when you sell a policy, but I like to educate my customers and let them know and educate them and let them know what are the options, and and they can buy either the best coverage or the best price or whatever. So it's a good background on the educating your customer, not just selling a policy.
Okay. And you made the jump to a large insurance agency. You said the rest is history, but talk to us a little bit about that history. How did Complete Insurance Agency start?
Well, before I was, like I said, I was working for a large insurance agencies, and then I had the opportunity in 1985. Allstate was hiring local agents, and not only before Allstate was in the Sears stores, in the booth and all that, but they were hiring neighborhood agents, and that's how I got hired. They had just gotten a lawsuit that there weren't enough women in their workforce, so that's where they were hiring women. And I said, why not? Let me try it. And I opened up the neighborhood office in Coral Gables back in 1985. It was a tough ride because I started with nothing. I had no customers, because back then, before that, I was doing underwriting. So I really didn't have a customer base.
What is underwriting exactly?
Well, within an agency, you get let's say a risk, a business or a customer, and you analyze what they what they need, and then you, back then were paper applications, you would fill out an application and then send it to the insurance companies. So that's, the underwriting. We had to figure out which was the best fit for the customer and all that, and send it to the companies that were writing that type of risk.
So at that point, you weren't selling policies?
At all. No,
Okay,
no,
okay.
no. Yeah. And then Allstate gave me the opportunity. They didn't want, they would train you as far as sales and all that. So, I took the opportunity, but it was a tough, a tough run for a few years. I mean,
What was it like? Tell me about it.
let me tell you, it was strictly commission, no base salary. So I mean, I remember back then I was a single mom with 2 kids, and I remember those commission statements at the end. It was paper, of course, and I would weigh them. I'm like, ooh, this not a lot of pages. I'm not getting paid a lot. It was tough, but things happen, and God provides, and I survived it. And then in 2000, Allstate changed their contracts, and we were no longer the term. I didn't like what they were doing, and I decided to sell my book of business to them, and that's where Complete Insurance comes in. I said, well, I can, I kept some of the business because it was through Citizens and all that, the private market, and I kept that business, and I started with a little book of business with Complete Insurance. So I built it from maybe a few hundred customers to where we are now, and it's been great. But again, when I started Complete Insurance, it was a little struggle, but everything comes out good.
So you started in 85. When did you feel, what year was it, and what made it feel like I'm over the hump?
Oh, they told us that it would take 3 years to see the the fruits of your labor, and 3 years was about it, with Allstate. And the same thing happened with Complete Insurance. 3 to 5 years, you're like,
I can breathe.
Yeah, I can go and get groceries now. Yeah, it was tough, but no, survived.
And now, do you have a favorite type of policy to sell? Is there anything that really motivates you, or is it just any product is?
Yeah, I like to do the weird policies. Like, people don't realize a lot of times that they're not adequately covered if you have like an antique collection, a fine arts collection, jewelry, wine collection, and things like that. So that's interesting. That's where I put on my little underwriting hat, and and it's great, and to see what some collections that people have, and to insure it properly, and you have to get appraisals, and you have to convince the insurance companies that this is really what this bottle of wine is worth, and things like that. It's interesting because other than that, it's your home, your auto, whatever. But these are interesting things that we insure.
Very interesting, because I didn't know you. Because I would have thought that your homeowners policy covers, wine, certain furniture, but no, you need a separate policy.
Right. If you look at your policy.
Does anybody look at their policy?
No. But there's limitations as far as jewelry, fine arts, and things like that. So like on jewelry, most policies have like either $1,000 or $2,000 limit. I mean, one piece of jewelry, the $2,000 are done.
You got your Rolex stolen, you're
That's
out
it.
of luck.
That's it. And that, unfortunately, that's when people realize after the fact, that their coverage is not adequate. And like antiques, a lot of people, have collections, here and there, and your policy, your regular homeowner policies will only cover you for the value of what let's say the table is worth. It's a seat sits 8 people, and it's made of mahogany, but it doesn't take into consideration it's 300 years old.
Right.
So you'll get whatever a mahogany table costs in today's market, but not the fact that it's 300 years old. So
beyond the wine collections, fine art, any other crazy things you've either insured or had claims for?
Well, my favorite was one years ago. This guy calls when Homestead had actual land, and he goes, "I need to insure my cow." And I'm like, "Okay, your cow." So I go back to the company. What do how do we insure this? And they go, "Well, is it livestock? Does it, So I go back to the guy and I go, "How do you use your cow?" And he goes, "Oh no, it's my pet cow." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." It's like, okay, so we insured a pet cow.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah. It's just funny. Yeah, it's funny. We also do I like to mention commercial insurance. I have
Okay.
a lady that works with me that actually she was with we started in high school together in the same in the
same class?
in the same class. Well,
Wow.
she's a little bit younger, but in the
Okay.
same program, if
Got
you
it.
will. So she's my business partner, and she is great with commercial insurance. We insure nice commercial accounts. So she's the expert on that. So anything that we get, like we have a wine distributor, you know, and that's a nice account. We have large accounts that she takes care of because you have to have expertise when it comes to that.
What are some coverages? This is this forum is about small business. So what are some types of insurance that every small business should have?
Well, nowadays there's a lot of cyber issues, and everybody should have cyber liability insurance. We've become a very techie society. Everybody, now with AI, it's blown up, and cyber liability is extremely important to have. And of course, if you're a manufacturer, have all that portion covered correctly, and have the right values on it, as far as your inventory, your stock, and all that. So that's one of the important parts of the commercial insurance. But cyber is the one that we've been using a lot lately because people are becoming more aware, and they've been the ransomware and all that. Their IT people are telling them, hey, you should really get cyber liability.
Right.
Yeah.
So cyber liability, what does that protect? Let's say, and I don't have it.
Yeah.
But what does that protect me from?
Well, if you're a business that has customers in your management system, like we keep, the addresses and stuff
Right.
like that, but we don't keep, and this is an important point, don't keep like credit card information, dates of birth, social security numbers, because they can hack you and
Right.
go in there and get that information. So, if that happens and then your customer says, hey, somebody got my social security number, and so that's where the cyber liability comes in. If you get hacked, or they ask for the ransomware, all that stuff, it's really important to have. And worst case, they protect you. You have defense coverage, so that's the most important part. Whether they get away with it, the criminals, or
Right.
not, at least you have the protection. The company will go out there and defend you. And that's important with any liability policy, whether a lot of people, and this is jumping to personal, a lot of people are saying, the cost of insurance is so high, I'm not going to insure my house. Fine, don't insure your house. But where I really get nervous is on the liability portion, because whether you owe on your house or not, somebody can come in and allegedly slip and fall in front of your house, or something like that, and they can sue you. Whether you're liable or not, if you don't have a liability policy, then you have to go out and get an attorney and to defend you. Now, how much is an attorney an hour? Who knows, right? The liability policy for your property, they'll not only, if you're guilty, they'll pay out, but they'll have its defense cost built in. And a liability policy for a house is probably $300, $400, $500 a year.
Wow.
That's an hour of attorney fees.
Yeah.
So it's really important, whether you have a business or you own properties, especially if it's not even your homestead, if you have investment properties, always to have a liability policy. The cost is nothing compared to the coverage that you can get. And we're in a litigious society. Everybody
Yep.
sues everybody.
In South Florida?
Yeah.
Talking about business and home, and I hate to bring up the pandemic. It seems like every conversation brings it up, but after the pandemic or during the pandemic,
Yeah.
really, a lot of growth of home-based businesses. Will your current home policy cover you completely if you have a home-based business?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Some companies will have an endorsement that you can endorse it on, but most companies are just scaling down on coverages. So there is a policy that we can sell that it's for home-based businesses, and again,
What does that cover?
that's in case if you have customers coming in or out,
Got
or
it.
if you have equipment and stuff like that. But mostly for, like, some people have, like a nail salon in the back of their house. Or,
Well, that's a little different, isn't it?
yeah, things like that. But, or people have stayed home and doing their accounting business from home rather than going back, or their marketing business, whatever. So it is a separate policy that you can buy. And again, it's not a killer on the price, but it really outweighs what can be covered under that.
Okay. I want to switch gears a little bit into, maybe it's not such a happy topic, and it's just the craziness over the last several years with homeowners insurance. What's the latest on that, Gisela? It seems like the more things change in the legislature, the more things don't change. What's going on?
Yeah, it's not going to be a quick fix.
Okay.
It's there's a lot of things in the pipeline in Tallahassee, but it's not going to be a quick fix. We've seen crazy increases. Right now, Citizens just put out another 13.5 average percent increase,
Wow.
which is not bad compared to
No.
other companies.
Okay.
So it really not bad. And I can't believe I'm even saying that. But like for new homes, I've seen prices. I mean, like on a high value home, $2 million insured house. I mean, the companies will come out there and say $70,000 a year. I mean, how do you go to a customer, even if they paid cash for the house, and say, no, it's going to cost you $70,000 a year to insure your property? And I've been doing this for over 40. I've never seen anything like this. There's no quick fix. I don't think that $70,000 policy in 3 years is going to be, at 20.
Right.
I don't know where we're heading, honestly. And companies have pulled out. Last year, we've had 7 or 8 pull out. There's no new companies. Very few companies want to write down here. I hadn't written a Citizens policy probably for 5 years, and now that's 90% of our business is going to Citizens. And what people don't understand, there's in Citizens, in the Citizens policy, there's an assessment that if there is a catastrophe, they can assess the policy holders up to 45% of the premium. So you can be held up to 45%. An assessment can be put on your policy. So can you imagine you're paying?
So you're going to increase by 45%?
They can. They have.
They can.
It's in, and you
Okay.
sign and saying I acknowledge, but there's nothing else out there. So it's sad what's going on. And again, I don't see a quick fix to this. I really don't.
I hear very frequently now people getting notices of cancellation.
Non-renewal. Yeah.
Non-renewal. What should a homeowner do in that case?
Yeah. Well,
besides freak out, what should they do?
And call their agent.
Yeah.
Well, be prepared as far as getting, like, if it's an older home, start getting your inspections. Make sure your house is, up to date with the roof is in good shape, the electricity is in good shape, everything is in good working order. because when the non-renewal date comes in, which usually the companies give you time, to when if it's a non-renewal, then you'll have all your ducks in a row, and you have like a clean inspection, and we can go out and see what we can find. Probably going to be citizens, but right now we have a market open, which we don't know when the capacity is going to run out on them, but we do have a market available, private market. So we've been trying to write with them. But again, make sure your house is in good order, especially the roof. You don't realize now the livelihood on roofs are 15 years on shingles and probably 20, 25 on tile, which your roof is probably still good, but then you have to get a roof certification and all that. So start getting, and call your agent. And that's what I always say, know who your agent is, have a relationship with that agent that you can call and say, hey, give me pointers. What do I do? What can I do? And things like that. Have an open communication. A lot of times I have customers or new clients that come in and I said, well, can you get a copy of your policy? I don't know who my agent is. I'm like, how can you not know, and things like that. So it's important to know who you're dealing with and get all that information, but prepare for the non-renewal and make sure everything is clean so you can go to, we can shop around as much as we can for a new market and a new company.
Yeah, I think you just made a great point about being in contact and having a relationship with your agent, because you see so much stuff online, on TV, 800 number, all this kind of stuff. And what happens when you don't know the agent and you have an issue?
Yeah. That's the thing. You have to be, especially in a claim. When you have a claim, you're scrambling. Where the heck is the policy? Well, if you know your agent, you call them, hey, can you send me a copy of my policy? You don't know how many times people call me or text me, hey, can you send me a copy of my ID cards for the car? The cop stopped me, or I'm in an accident, so it's a lot easier, to just, I can go and, and get it online and just, send it to the customer. So it's really important to have, a good relationship with the agent, and it really helps. It really does. Yeah, it makes it more personable. And, you call a 1-800 number for certain companies, and that's what you get if you have a question, a customer service rep. And I've been on the phone with people that don't have the auto with me, but have the home, and they have an auto accident, and they're calling, they have an accident, and then you have a lady answering, a customer service rep, and you hear the baby crying in the background, which, it happens, but, that's what you get. That's what you get. So, it's important to have at least know who your agent is, and maybe not the agent directly, but the people that work in the office. Like Rosie, in my office, she's been with me since 1991.
Wow.
So, she
knows a thing or two about insurance.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. But she knows my customers, and if I'm not there, they know and they trust her. And the other lady, Becky, that's been, we've been in insurance since never mind, long time.
Got it.
But it's a family business, in the fact that we treat all our employees like family, and everybody knows everybody. When they call, they don't have to speak to me; they can speak to Rosie or Becky or whoever, and they feel at home.
I guess the only ones they can't speak with are the dogs.
That
are part of complete insurance family.
We have
right?
a security. Yeah, we have security there. Still doesn't like that UPS guy. Yeah.
It's that time of year, Gisela, and the H word that we all know, and we haven't. Fortunately, we've dodged the bullet for several years now, since 2017. Thinking of that, what should people do from an insurance perspective to prepare for a disaster?
Right. Yeah. If you go to Publix, they tell you have that list of water and whatever. But as far as insurance, it's very important. And I was obviously an agent during Hurricane Andrew, and I saw horror stories.
Wow.
So yeah, I had customers that lost their house, their car, everything. So again, know your agent. So you have a place that you can call. Now, in the 21st century, we have companies that have apps that you can download on your phone, like Progressive. We write a lot of autos with Progressive, and they have an app that, if you have a claim, you just go on that app and you can report the claim online. I mean, on the app.
On the app.
Super easy, and quick response. Also, know where your policy is, or download or have the information directly to the insurance company. Because sometimes, I remember during Hurricane Andrew, I was in Coral Gables. My agency was out. My house was without electricity. I mean, it was limited availability. So have the website of the company that you're insured with the home, and you can also report a lot of times directly with them on the website of the company if they don't have an app.
Assuming you have power, right?
Yes. Well, drive north. That's what we had to do. We went to Broward to open up. But yeah, have that. And secondly, do an inventory of your property. It's so important. And nowadays, again, 21st century, we have the phones, which we have the videos. Have a visual inventory of the outside, of what your property looks like before, the trees come down and heaven forbid, the roof blows off. But also, most importantly, the interior. Have a video of every room in your house. Go with your camera and just do a 360 of each room, and open your closets. Take a video of your clothing, and ladies, your purses, your shoes. You don't realize, and what you have, and especially after a catastrophe, you don't realize, what you had. And I went through Hurricane Andrew with customers that had to do an inventory of every towel, everything to get paid, so you have to
Might as well do it beforehand.
Do
right?
it, but now it's so easy. Before, we would do an inventory with Polaroid, we would do, but nowadays it's so easy, and open your cupboards. We'll pay for every damn can of garbanzo beans you have. But if you don't have the visual and to show an adjuster what you had, it makes it more.
Your refrigerator, of course.
Yes, everything. But most importantly, really, the closet issue. Again, you don't realize how much stuff you have. Your garage, your storage and all that. So it's very important to do that. Again, it's so much easier to adjust a claim when an adjuster sees what you had and the way everything was, than after, a fact that, heaven forbid, a window blows out and, and everything gets sucked out. So it's very important. It's so much easier nowadays to do it. So
talking about windows being blown out, water can get in, flood insurance.
Flood insurance.
I know people, for example, that don't live in flood zones and they don't have flood insurance. Why is it not a good idea to have flood insurance even if you're not in a flood zone?
Okay, there's been floods in every state.
Okay.
of the United States. What makes us think, living in a peninsula, we're not in a flood zone? Yeah, you're in a less likelihood of a flood happening, but we've seen floods happen in every part of Florida. So people have to realize that homeowners insurance every Florida policy excludes flood insurance from the property portion of it. So your homeowners excludes flood. Flood is rising water from outside. Okay, so if it rains and pours for 40 days and the water rises and the water comes in, and I had that claim in my house. It came in under the door.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was one of those no-name storms.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in Coral Gables. I was not in a flood zone, and so I didn't buy flood insurance.
Oh,
and
boy.
I saw that
An
water.
insurance agent didn't buy flood insurance.
I was naive at the time.
Okay.
But yeah, I saw that water coming into my house, and no flood insurance, and the homeowners doesn't pay for that. So everybody should have flood insurance. If you're not in a flood zone, the rates are cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So, but everybody should have flood insurance. Again, it's getting worse and worse as far as the water rising, the water levels and stuff like that. So it's really important to have. And
Okay.
again, we have various companies that'll quote flood insurance, and it used to be federal
FEMA, right?
FEMA. Yeah, they would have a standard rate, and now there are private markets that are coming in. It might be better, but might be worse. But we could give you several rates. But yeah, just I was looking at the statistics. Just 1 inch of water coming into your house can cause as much as $25,000 worth of damage, because once
Wow.
the baseboards get wet, that's it. And if you have wood floors, they start buckling. Uh, and then if that water starts coming up, it's the drywall. I mean, it's a hot mess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gisela,
Mm.
we're out of time.
Ooh. Mm.
Thanks so much for being on Small Business Matters, and we'll definitely take your advice and be, if anything, overinsured and not underinsured. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for joining us on Small Business Matters. We'll see you next time.